From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for March 4th, 2016. In today's video, instead of having a specific trade recommendation or suggestion, I want to do a general overview of each of the U.S. currency pairs because we're anticipating significant U.S. data coming up at 8:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, about 45 minutes from the recording of this video. So let's walk through each of the U.S. currency pairs and see what we might anticipate with that news. Starting here on the USDCHF, the US dollar versus the Swiss Franc, we're looking at the daily time frame. Several different trends. The previous downtrend over here on the left, where it was a strong bearish trend, all these red candles in a row. Then over the past couple of weeks, we've seen a little bit of retracement about halfway through there, right at the top of the green shaded areas, halfway between the high and the low of that previous downtrend. We've just been toying around with that 50%, a little bit above, a little bit below, basically bouncing underneath the parity level, the 1.0 level at the pink shaded area. 100 period moving average coming into play at the same area, right into the mid 9900s. We've been a little bit above it, and now we're a little bit below it. So we've been waffling on both sides. I anticipate, hopefully, we'll see significant enough data here at 8:30 Eastern U.S. time today. A breakout, either higher. If it's positive U.S. data, we'd likely look for the breakout higher. Negative, we look for it to go lower. I would look at this area right here, and I'm actually just going to grab this black box up here and look at this area like this as maybe the range or the period of congestion that we've been in between the parity level 1.0 and down here right around the mid 9800s. We really need to either see a breakout to the top side here and a continuation of the uptrend. On the underneath side of that, we'll look for the continuation lower. Otherwise, we really might just see it bounce around in here. If it's not significant enough data to really drive the market into a new trend, we might see it continue to bounce around in here. If you're looking for buys, buying at the bottom of the box, the purple shaded area, would become a better idea. Or the breakout above the pink zone, parity, we look for it to go higher. If you're looking to go short, of course, selling up here towards the top into the pink zone or a breakout underneath the purple zone, we look for it to go short again for the U.S. franc. So really, we need to see the breakout of this range. And again, I'll zoom it in one more time so you can see that green zone, somewhat of a hinge point this week. Above it, we saw it challenge the pink zone. Below it, may challenge the purple zone again. Watching the news to see which direction the market takes this over the next several hours. Moving on over to the EUR-USD, euro versus the US dollar. We've been studying in the live trade room the current downtrend, the previous uptrend, current downtrend that we've been in, and the previous area of congestion inside the black box over here on the left-hand side of the chart. If I just take that black box, see if I can get it selected here and pull it over, that's the area that we've been studying in the live trade room. Important because that's where we are right now. So if you take that area, you know the orange zone's resistance, the green zone support again, similar to what we just looked at on the US franc, just the opposite. We have the 100 period moving average sitting here into the mid 10900s, the orange shaded area. We outlined a lot of reasons for resistance into this level. We have the red trend line, the underneath side of the green trend line, a lot of reasons for resistance into the mid 10900s. So far, it's been very limited resistance. It's in fact pressured a little bit higher into the upper 10900s over the past several hours. Again, what we need to see is a significant piece of data. Significant news at 8:30 would likely see this either change to an uptrend. If it's negative news for the U.S., change to an uptrend, and we start to look for it to go back higher. Any break above 1.1, probably looking for a new challenge of the highest highs here for the euro dollar. Positive news out of the U.S. sends this lower, eventually breaking through the green shaded area and the 10800 level. We would likely look for the continuation of the downtrend here for the euro dollar. Let's zoom it in one more time so you can see this. Again, there's that black box. Again, above it, we likely look for it to continue the upside, especially with negative data. Positive data, we're back inside the black box under the orange zone. We target the green zone. Under the green zone, we go lower for the euro dollar. GBP USD. It is interesting that over the past couple of days we've seen a significant rally here for this currency pair. Kind of an unexpected significant rally. Fundamentally, it makes sense for this to go down with the potential exit from the EU. It makes sense for this to go down. So it is interesting that we've seen it rising over the past few days. Definitely watching this area as resistance, though. As it approaches the 4200 level, we see the historical support here. That's offering us clues to resistance right now here for the pound dollar. Any Positive news for the U.S. Again, we likely look for the return of the downside here for this currency pair. Negative news may look for the breakout above 4,200 and a little bit of a pressure higher. Zooming in a couple of times here. Again, look at that congestion, that support back here on the left. I would say up here towards the blue trend line, 4,200 becomes our resistance to watch for the day today. Holding here, we look for it to go down. If it breaks 4,200 and we start to see it push above that blue trend line, all of that is likely to change for at least a little while, and we'll look for this to continue to pressure higher for the GBP. So it all will depend on positive or negative news today for the US dollar, which direction we expect this to go. US CAD, we've been studying the pattern of the downtrend. You can see all those black boxes on the chart. We've been studying the pattern of this downtrend. The first 1, 2, 3, 4 times it went into congestion before breaking out. The last couple of times, this previous one and the current one, we just found support. The first one broke out and went lower. Now we've been finding support right around 1.3400 for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Really all this week. Let's zoom it in a couple of times. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 days now finding support at 3,400. Yesterday, suggesting a buy here into the 3,400 level. If you are still holding into that buy, I definitely would protect profit as we go into the 8:30 Eastern U.S. time frame, about 30 minutes from the recording of this video. Watch those buys. Protect profit if you can. Move your stop losses to reduce the amount of risk. Targeting the orange or the yellow shaded area above the market. If it can go higher, if we see some positive news for the U.S., if it's good news for the U.S., we look to target back up here to the 1.3500s. If it's negative, and again, we also have Canadian news popping up here at the 8:30 Eastern U.S. time. If it's negative news for the U.S., we likely look for the breakdown of this pattern and continue the downtrend pattern that we've seen. So critical area right here, right around 3,400. We've also been studying the impact of oil that the oil has on the Canadian dollar. Definitely watching those prices as well if we're looking for some influence here for this currency pair. But I think today's U.S. data will be likely the biggest impact for this pair. Higher goes back to 3,500. Breaking 3,400, we'll look for it back down into the 32s for the U.S. CAD. Moving on to the U.S. yen. Again, look at this range. We've been stuck in this range, this black box. I put these black boxes on here on a daily basis just really to give us an idea of where the market is kind of ranging, stuck inside. Obviously, over the past several days, we have been finding resistance at the yellow shaded area. So buying close to the yellow zone hasn't been a real good idea. In fact, it's found resistance quite a bit right there at 114.0. Zooming in one more time, couple times here, we can see the support here over the past 1, 2, 3 days, finding support around the mid 1.13s. I've actually taken a couple of buys here into the 113.50 level, been able to capitalize on a little bit of profit a couple of times on the rallies towards the 114 level. So I've built in a little profit here on the yen on buys from the orange shaded area. Clearly, what we need to see is positive news sends this above the 114 level, and we look for the return of the upside here for the US yen. Negative news, we likely look for the turn back lower, possibly breaking through this orange shaded area, finally getting back underneath the mid 113s. Underneath 113, we're back down here into the mid to low 112s, the green shaded area at the bottom of the chart. That becomes our next support, and of course any break underneath that green zone, it's likely we're looking for this back down towards 111, and then beyond that 110 for the US yen. So we need to get outside of this box before we can see some new trending action here for the US yen. Moving on to the AUD USD, this has been significantly to the upside all week long. We've had some pretty positive data for Australia over the past several days, and it sent it much higher. US news today, positive news, would likely see a little bit of a retracement of this rise that we've seen, pushing it back lower again if we get some significantly positive news for the US. Negative news for the US, we likely look for the breakout above this current resistance area, the 73, 75 or so level. Follow it back in time. You can see your last highs here. Take a black X here. You can see your last high here where this black X is, and you can see one more back here on the left-hand side. So those last two highs where the two black X's are being challenged now. If we break above 73, 75 or so, 7,400. A couple of new places to watch for. Maybe here at the 74.50 level. You can see that resistance back here on the left-hand side. Maybe even as high all the way back up here into the 7,600 level. That might become an area to watch for. So any negative U.S. data with the positive influence we've seen out of Australia this week, above 74, we're back into the mid-74, 74.50, but maybe a break there even looks for it back up here towards the 7,600 level for the Australian dollar. Positive news, of course, like I said, out of the U.S., we likely look for continued resistance here. Zoom it in one time, you can see those two last highs over here in the green shaded area. Positive news, since it's back down, maybe back down towards 73 or even into the mid 7200s for the Australian dollar. Moving lastly to the NZD/USD, New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar. We've been studying this blue box over here. This is the daily time frame. We've been studying this blue box over here for several days now. It's actually been about a month that the market's been stuck inside this range. Today, once again, we see the challenge above the blue box and into the pink shaded area. Again, I don't classify this as a break. We can see it above there, but it's not really a break. It's just a challenge of it. We saw it pushing above here into the 67.65 level last week, and then it dramatically turned around, and we made profit from the pink zone down to the yellow shaded area. Once again, here we are into the 67.45, 40 to 65 level, challenging it. Positive news for the U.S. Again, likely looks for the reversal here, and we look for it to begin heading back down. Negative news, may finally see the breakout of this blocks and the continuation higher. So really, we'll watch for what the news does for the day today, but watching for a breakout of this blue box, but returning back inside. We know that 80 to 60, the orange shaded area, becomes your first support, and then beyond that, we're all the way back down towards the 6600 level, the yellow shaded area at the bottom of the blue box for the New Zealand dollar today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.